Let's get this party started. A London tube driver has been suspended for leading a Free Palestine chant.
Yeah, well, I think that's totally wrong, actually, and I think it's inciting. Why doesn't he just do his job?
Where is the line that we have to draw as a country between having a fulsome defence of your political opinion, if that's freeing Palestine, and intimidating people in a multicultural society? Well, I think it is quite difficult.
Well, it is difficult, and it's one that the Metropolitan Police have been looking at these last few days, and to some people made a terrible hash of it. Because, you know, people shouting jihad out there is something which is very offensive and actually potentially...
Well, they've jihad enough.
Well, it depends on what you mean by jihad. And also, I don't understand why anybody's got any kind of problem with the notion of freedom. I mean, freedom is something that everybody's entitled to feel and everybody's entitled to have, whether you live in Palestine or whether you live in Israel. So what is the problem? This is slightly the trick, actually, if I may say so, is that we're not actually analysing the right intention.
Yeah, but Ben, one of the things that amazed me about these recent protests is the way, and I appreciate it's been going on over the past few weeks, it's the way that these Palestinian protesters went to the Israeli embassy before Israel took any action. So what we were in a position where there'd been a terrorist attack on Israel, which may or may not have behaved properly over the years. But after that terrorist attack, as soon as that terrorist attack happened, immediately there was a protest outside the Israeli embassy that I would say is goading them in a time of national crisis.
Well, it didn't feel like they were protesting. It felt a bit like they were celebrating and saying what was going on in Palestine was actually a good thing. But on your point about freedom, there's two types of freedom. There's negative and positive freedom. And the sort of freedom which actually forces the oppression of someone else in order to be won is not freedom. It's oppression. And to say free Palestine by getting rid of Israel is not the same thing as saying free Palestine by...
I mean, look, I'm not a supporter of any one particular side, but haven't you got rid of Palestine by creating Israel?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but I think you've got to be sensitive. Look what happened on the 7th of October. It was an absolutely horrific massacre, something I never thought I'd ever see in my lifetime.
It was a pogrom in Israel.
It was, and I think that for the Jewish community, that, you know, now my poor friend has got, the school was closed, couldn't wear his blazer.
The world shares in a collective guilt, pretty much most of the world, about what was allowed to happen in 1939. And 1939 led to 1948 without proper discussion and without proper borders. And today, the consequences of that is being fought for. And actually...
Derek, can I ask you, are you somebody who takes the view that the Holocaust was a European problem and the solution was a Middle Eastern solution?
The problem that we have now in the region has to be dealt with through a ceasefire. And my real problem is with the West's response.
But you can't have a ceasefire without the hostages being released. You can't.
Because when the United States of America rightly said Israel was entitled to make a response, they didn't talk about a response based on international law or it being proportionate. And nor did Rishi Sunak. And even in the House of Commons yesterday, when he had the opportunity to say that, to correct that, he didn't. So we're going to, in the end, be left with a God almighty mess. And we're going to have to think now properly about what the long-term solution is.
Now, Derek, that was an excellent point, but I just want to remind you...
It's your show.
That yesterday was Friday. Because it's Saturday night now, remember, Derek? And so Rishi Sunak's comments were on Monday. Remember, Derek? Derek's forgotten.
Every day's a weekend to me.
Well, it's not my fault that Derek doesn't know what day it is. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's right, everyone. It's Saturday night, remember? It's Saturday night, Derek. This is a live show on Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Don't worry about Derek. The viewers will guess. Don't worry. But anyway, on that point, look, I've got an idea for Gaza and Israel. And this might be a completely mad idea, but it strikes me that this is now a lawless territory run by a terrorist organisation. I think somebody does need to invade, but I think that country should be Egypt. And the reason why is because historically this was Egypt, but actually having a country coming in that can now appoint, Derek's laughing, right? But having a country now that can come in, appoint a governor, rebuild things properly, hand over the Hamas terrorists, and then try and move forward, maybe it's not a bad idea. Derek, I don't invite you to comment.
Well, I think it's misguided to say that it's resolvable, because we tried this in 2000. Yasser Arafat was offered something about 78% of territory in Gaza and the West Bank, and he turned it down. He just kept saying no to everything that was offered.
Well, actually,
and I just don't think they'll say yes to anything apart from the abolition of Israel entirely.
I think that remark reveals your age.
Who gets the Temple Mount, for example? Do the Jews get that, or do the Muslims get that? Because that is fundamental to resolving it.
Okay. Once again, as I say, it's Saturday night, so let's go back to the question. Did a London tube driver get suspended for leading a Palestine chant? Daniel, I believe we might have given you a few clues here. But is it true or is it false?
I have to say it's true.
It's absolutely true! It can't be to do with Keir Starmer. The European Union has banned glitter, Derek. Is it true or is it false? And also, for a bonus point, will it affect your life very much?
Well, all that's glitter is not gold.
It's not
Well,
gold.
it's but non-biodegradable glitter only.
Oh, really?
Yeah, biodegradable glitter is okay.
So obviously, well, I'll tell you what, Derek, you're a bit of a fan on biodegradable or otherwise glitter.
Yeah.
Tell us what sort of glitter we'd be allowed if we were in the European Union.
Well, we'd be allowed glitter, which you throw on someone and sort of, just biodegrades like it does. I mean, I'm not sure what happened to Keir Starmer's jacket, but...
Well, it was very distracting from his speech, though, because his hair was all glistening.
I love the fact that the professor is a knowledge on glitter. I mean, that's by the way what his professorship's in. Glitter.
Your ancestors probably made their money on glitter, did they?
I don't know about that. I don't think they made much money, to be honest with you, Derek.
But was it a setup? I think it was, because they had the T-shirts all rolled out, didn't they? Like sparkling Starmer sparkles.
Yeah.
Took off the jacket, rolled up his sleeves. It's a Blair moment.
It was.
Well, actually, he had to be told to do that. He didn't know his instincts.
I didn't say he set it up.
This robotic.
I
he
thought
didn't
it was
know really what to
I
do.
put up job.
Somebody
I thought it was put up job.
onto the platform and told him what to do.
But it's the first time we now know what a woman is, because two women came to the stage and rescued him. So Keir Starmer does know what
I am a Tory
now.
lady, sir, of gentle disposition. I go to church on Sundays. I won't complete the rest of the lyric because that would not be woke.
No, I'll tell you what the song is that I bet you'll remember. Intolerant and ignorant young Tories are we. We kill any lefties that we ever see. You know them all, don't you? You know them all. Well, he ain't going to get into Eurovision with it, that's for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell him to sing some. Well, I know them all, but I'll tell you what. No, that was the only one you could sing. All right. Bye. That was the ghost of Margaret Thatcher. And once again, she's repeated a comment from a few weeks ago, which I have to say was one of my proudest lines ever. You les if you want to. The lady's not. We'll leave it at that. But the European Union just are still in everybody's pockets and everybody's lives, aren't they? And I bet in Britain we're just going to follow this example.
Well, I'm not all that's bad. It comes from the European Union.
All the glitter is not good. You're trying to wordplay that, weren't you, Derek?
The problem is it's over-prescriptive. It's like bananas, and all those things.
What's the matter with a banana? I've never had a problem with a banana in my life.
That could go wrong, according to the EU.
Yeah.
Right, so here we go. Curvy bananas. Well done. Saturday night. TalkTV. Nice one. That's why they won't stick me in prime time. Right, there it is. We're talking about glitter and bananas. Right. Okay, so is the EU banned glitter, yes or no?
Yes.
It's well, it might not be true. It's biodegradable, non-biodegradable. I'll tell you something. My brother's wedding, they wouldn't allow you to use confetti. So my mother had the great idea of doing it with rice instead. They walked out of the church. It was like Basra. They were getting sort of pelted.
Was it sticky rice?
It was absolutely terrible. Well, yeah, my Uncle Tony cooked his. It was great.
But what is wrong with glitter? I love glitter.
What What a surprise that you
I
love
agree.
glitter.
I'm
Apart
with
from
you.
obviously Gary.
Well, I mean, it's on the back of your phone.
Well, I know, I've glittered everywhere.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Bought it
That's
specially for the studio.
beautifully glittered.
Dazzling.
Is it biodegradable?
We all love glitter.
Well, just keep that. Just keep that, Ben. Keep that.
I hate glitter. It's a bunch of,
Don't get
useless
it in the
flakes.
red.
Oh, you've just got a text message, Lizzie. It's from Simon Cowell. Can you wear that? Oh my God.
Give me that.
I'm not reading that.
No.
There were no messages from glitter. But anyway, okay. Has the European Union said it's going to ban non-biodegradable glitter, Derek?
Yes,
It's absolutely true. Now, if we'd thought about this, we would have given the question to the former vice chairman of Nationwide. But anyway, we'll give it to you, Ben. Okay. The Bank of England is in trouble for spending $650,000 on diversity roles. They can't control inflation, but they are good on diversity.
Well, I believe they did it, but I don't believe they're in trouble because who would hold them to account?
That's a good point.
There's absolutely no institution.
Yeah, that's right, actually. Do you know what? That question's been badly worded.
Yeah.
The Bank of England are blatantly getting away with spending $650,000 on diversity roles.
Flagrantly getting away with it and no one's holding them to account. No, we absolutely need to have an anti-woke commission set up in this country to get rid of this march through the institutions where you have these people being employed on huge salaries to do things like make people sit up straight and stop their microaggressions.
Well, anyway, I mean,
huge waste of
if they
money.
are spending all this money on diversity, why don't they start at the top?
Yes.
Start with a governor.
Well, but
and actually get somebody who.
Oh, here we go. No, stop, everyone. Stop, everyone. Here we go. The former vice chairman of a financial institution weighs in. Come on, Daniel.
Well, I find it pretty insulting to suppose that very top-level financial institutions aren't already picking the right people for the job.
Oh, fair enough.
And I suspect...
Alison Rose.
Well...
Yes. Gulp.
I think we just destroyed you there.
No. I suspect that on the whole they are, and regardless of the diversity aspects, what I find, and I think people involved in it, in this whole business, find very, very patronising, is the idea of a certain percentage having to be this or that or the other.
Yeah.
We should be looking at the
I'm
best
all in
people for
favour
the
of
job.
A certain percentage, if the percentage is me.
Well,
But on a serious note, Derek, you know, loads of people watched the show when you were on. You're a pretty big name. Not so much.
Pretty big?
Well, you two aren't as big, but you know,
Excuse me.
No, don't worry. So you like a pretty okay. You're above average. Ben is below average, but Derek's above.
you.
So we balance the teams out there. But
what in diversity?
but
Hold on. Yes.
on a serious note, Derek, on a serious note, nobody has come up to me and said, isn't it great you had somebody black on the panel? Nobody has said that. Nobody is interested
Well,
in
who
my
is black
experience.
on the panel?
But you know what I mean? Nobody. Oh my God.
Derek, I am 2% sub-Saharan African.
Congratulations.
You don't want to know what I've
Which 2% is it? But on a serious note, I don't.
This woke nonsense. Banks should be there for your business. I have to say, I hugely
But also,
congratulate Nigel
the
Farage.
point about the Bank of England really is that it's not a bank in the terms that you mean it.
No.
It's not a clearing
But
bank.
the way
it's an extension of government.
Yes.
And the fact that they're able to behave in this autonomous way is probably more of a problem than a solution, as we have seen, because they've been unable to control inflation.
Ben, how worried should we be that financial institutions, whether they be the Financial Conduct Authority or the Bank of England on one hand or the NatWest Group on the other, seem to be prioritising wokery over actually ensuring that they're doing the banking job properly?
Well, that's exactly my point.
We talk about all of these banks with these ESG scores or whatever, and you think when these big bank bosses lose $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion in business, they don't pick up the bill. In fact, I think one of the problems with banking, and I'm sorry to sound like a bit of a lefty, is the way that constantly these big financial institutions, well, actually these big businesses, are completely ruined by management who take a big load of bonuses and never pay any form of price for failure.
Indeed. Yeah, and they always lobby for more regulations we were discussing earlier because it keeps the competition down. Small businesses who want to break into the market can't because they're overregulated.
But it's not peculiar, in fact, to banking, and we have to distinguish between retail banking and private banking.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah, but it is
that's
happening
point number one.
in all walks of life, though. We're
Point
seeing
number
where
two, you're right, it's happening almost everywhere. So by
NHS.
way of example, The HS2 fiasco, not one person has been named,
No.
whether it be the permanent secretary of the Department of Transport.
That's true.
Who's been the chief executive for all these years of the HS2 project? Nobody's ever held accountable for the decisions that they take in our name and the public money that they use.
And it's
My
a waste
favourite
of the public
example,
money.
I've got to be honest with you, one of the things that I rail against on my other shows is
You've got another show?
Oh, shut up. It's regulators that can't regulate. We've got an energy price cap that we put up every time the energy industries need more
But why
money.
is no one
But my
held to
favourite-
account?
But my favourite one of all, for £20 million, is Ofwat, the water regulator, who every summer make it illegal to have the product you bought. Can you imagine going into McDonald's and going, hello, I'd like a Big Mac meal, and they go, we'll take your money. Not only can you not have the meal, it's a criminal offence for you to try and get
I
it.
actually can imagine that, given the vegan wave that's going through the country now. It won't be long before they do that.
Has the Bank of England spent $650,000 on diversity roles? Is it true or is it false?
What, banks being woke? Absolutely true.
Yeah, it's absolutely true! What's the score? Woke Wabbit! Now, look, Woke Wabbit, Greta Thunberg was arrested this week in London. Are you happy or sad?
We live in a climate denial police state.
But she's doing this all for attention, isn't she? That's the way
Well,
she gets
Greta
in the press.
Thunberg's
She
an
loves it.
attention seeker.
Yes!
I don't even know that she's got a right to vote in this country. She certainly doesn't live here, and she certainly doesn't work here. What on earth is she doing
Well,
here?
Derek,
What
as
gives
we've
her
always
money
said,
in
as
our
we've
own
always said,
country?
Derek, I think you and I agree, it's time to deport foreign criminals. Can you imagine sticking Greta in a detention centre? What would you think of that, Greta in a detention centre?
No, it's horrible. We need to abolish prisons because they're patriarchal and just abolish the Tories as well, probably.
OK. All right, well, so what is the actual score then, Woke Rabbit?
1 point for everyone.
1 point for everyone! Yay!
That was The Woke That Was continues after the break. Welcome back to That Was The Woke That Was.
The Food Standards Agency has said that bringing cakes to the office encourages people to eat sugar and should be banned because that's as bad as passive smoking. I've been out and about asking people whether cakes should be banned from the office. Do you believe that it's bad to take cakes into the office?
Yeah,
Why?
because it helps people to eat more sweet things, and they put on weight, and
Hey, why are you looking at me when you say put on weight?
well, you know.
I've never really been into eating cakes, and I was working in an office, and there was definitely social pressure.
The Food Standards Agency has said that people shouldn't bring cakes into the office on the grounds that they're unhealthy. Do you think cakes are a bad thing?
No.
Why not? Do you want one?
You're dead right, I do, yeah.
Right, what flavour do you want?
Oh, no, I'm just spoiled with choice here.
If you eat just a small piece of cake, it does you wonders. And we have fruit filling in a lot of our cakes as well, in the centre of it. So it's delicious, and it's not too much at a time.
Do you think it's right that the Food Standards Agency wants to ban cake from offices?
No,
Why?
because people have a free will. I think they're very nice cakes.
Do you want one?
Yes, please.
Go for it.
Just the one.
OK, well, I wasn't offering you two. What if they say that you do feel a social pressure to eat them?
Then you're mad.
Give me the cake and I'll tell you.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Oh, can I have a sup of your can?
Okay, if you want.
Oh, fantastic. Cheers, mate. Oh, I've not had special brew in ages. Would you like a bite of my cake?
No, thank you.
Why not? It's tasty.
Because your mouth is maybe dirty.
Where do you think my mouth's been?
You know where.
On my face, that's all. It's done nothing in my mouth.
Let me see your eyes. Oh my God, you've done so many bad things today.
Just a small amount. Hello, would you like some cake?
Yes.
Bite my cake. Bite my cake. Oh, there we go. We've lost it. Bit more.
What's in it?
Bit more. It's nothing's in it. It's fine. It's good. Do you not like it?
It's all right.
It's not bad, that is it?
Delicious.
Thank you very much. Have a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Open the mouth.
Yeah, go on. Oh, there we go. Well done. Ow. Oh. It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, very strange, very interesting. Very nice, thank you very much.
Thank you. I've got cake on my face. Look at that. Can you get it off?
didn't see it.
Can you just get it off? Get it off. Just get it off. Oh, come on, just lick it off. It'll be all right.
Lick it off. Oh, now you've crossed the boundary now.
Okay.
If there was a bit of a tissue, I might think, but no.
Well, I think it's fair to say that the good people of Ealing do not want cake banned in the office. And as they say in these parts, you can take our cake, but you cannot take our freedom!
What's in it?
Nothing's in it, it's fine, it's good. Do you not like it? Oh, there we go, well done.
Very strange, very interesting.
Oh my God, you've done so many bad things today.
John Major had a 4-year affair with Edwina Currie during the 1980s. Is it true or is it false? And for a bonus point, if you can tell me why that is relevant in 2023.
Sadly, Edwina got egg on her face.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Derek worked for John Major. What? Okay. So, okay, well, that is Norma Major. And she was just asking whether John really liked peas or whether he didn't.
He was charming.
Oh, he is.
He was so charming.
He's got the nicest hands I've ever touched.
What
That's what Edwina said.
No, we're not asking what Derek's hand, what John Major's hand touched of Derek. It's just smut. It's filth, isn't it? I mean, the late night edition, we might as well switch over to Babe Station at this rate. It's absolutely appalling. I mean, but you shouldn't have written a question about sleeping with John Major. You really shouldn't have. Sorry, that was the banker. Can I just tell you something? The one thing about John Major, right, that is the first man in history to run away from the circus and become an accountant. How boring do you have to be to do that? Anyway, did you have an affair with Edwina Currie?
Most definitely. It's true.
It's absolutely true. Well, Daniel, this is a bit depressing, this one, actually. A new study has shown that shoplifting is now more profitable than working after, I think, police no longer, the Crown Prosecution Service don't prosecute anyone who steals less than £200.
Shoplifting, it's an old thing. I mean, the retailers have
Is that something you did in your youth?
No, never done it. Some people get kicks out of it, but they've always set aside a provision. But it really has got rampant now, and the problem is actually getting people to recognise it, to get it, to do something about it.
Well, I'm not at all sympathetic to the supermarkets because actually they've actually established a model that makes it possible for people to do more stealing. I mean, you go in there.
It always happened,
and I'm sure it has. But you go in there and you have to do everything yourself, including checking out yourself, packing everything yourself. So at no stage really is there any possibility that anybody will
I'll tell you the one that made me laugh. And I know it sounds.
Why is there a surprise that there's a rise in shoplifting?
Yeah.
I know it sounds bad, but the one thing that made me laugh was that bloke who used to buy 20 individual bags of onions every time he went to the shop. And they're going, why does he buy so many onions? All he did was he'd go in, he'd type in onions on the machine, put every item on, weigh it as onions, put it in the bag.
I know.
You can't do that now because what they now do is match up the little camera they've got on you with what you buy. But apparently, they're sort of the biggest onion purchaser in that particular
world. Well, we have got a shoplifting epidemic and it's really, really out of hand. But the thing is, now even the security guards are told not to do anything because the gang members will get them afterwards. Or
I've got to be honest with you. I walked into a central London, one of the small supermarkets at sort of 2 a.m, and somebody was going for the Krispy Kreme donuts and openly eating them in front of the security guard. And the security guard goes, "Listen, pal, I'm not fighting him for £8 an hour." Make a reasonable point there. Don't you?
I know, but then we've got to look at our police. Why aren't they doing more? I know that there aren't enough police on the streets.
They're too busy dealing with Twitter.
And doing the Macarena dance and things like that, because we have got an epidemic of shoplifting. It's very scary. And I was in the King's Road at Boots, and they were openly this guy just putting it in his bag and walking out.
One of the things. Look, I'm not being sexist here, but I think you're more into shopping than I am. But you look at these.
No, actually.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll tell you what.
Flies are undone.
Get on. Asda's range has increased so much recently, hasn't it? But you go into these shops and there's some very small items of makeup and things like that, which if you take 4 or 5 of them, you would be in the hundreds of pounds.
Well, that's it. But now they're putting tax on everything as well, even cheese. Fine cheese.
I'll tell you what, I would love to meet a cheese thief. I would absolutely love to meet a cheese thief. I'll tell you the one they always used to have problems with, batteries, because they're incredibly easy to steal.
Well, I believe a lot of it is now the insurance companies say don't pursue shoplifters because it will cost more if they sue you than just replacing the stolen
But funny enough, the insurers got it badly wrong with whiplash, if you remember. That is in road traffic accidents, not anything else.
You mean Madam Whiplash?
Madam Whiplash. I've never seen Madam Whiplash.
But I go back to my point, which they build it into their accounts.
Indeed.
They build it into the profit margin. They expect it.
Well, they certainly build in a percentage, but whether or not
it's gone up.
It's gone up is the question.
Well, I've got to be honest with you. I'd never shoplift. Not least because in a job like this, it's just not a very good look. I remember Richard and Judy back in the old days. But surely everybody must have gone through one of those self-checkouts and thought to themselves, how difficult would it be for me to just keep this item rather than pay for it? I mean, you must have noticed how easy it is.
That's what I was going to say. When they got rid of all the staff who manned the checkouts, replaced with self-checkouts, they thought, well, we will take a loss on shoplifting.
Yes.
But it would be outweighed by firing all those checkout staff.
But of course, that's when I say about the whiplash situation, that's what insurance companies did. They said, look, who cares? Let's not pursue it. And then every single tiny little prank had 4 people claiming $2,500. Now, of course, as you say, Daniel, the insurance companies just added that to the cost of insurance. But we started to get to situations where teenagers were paying £4,000 a year. Not many of them, admittedly. but okay. But has a new study said that shoplifting is more profitable than having a proper job?
False.
Oh, goodness me, he's good. It's false! I thought we'd get him with that one. Okay. Hugh Grant has appeared on an American chat show where he said that Brexit has ruined the UK and everyone in the country regrets it. Derek, is it true or false?
I mean, of course, being inside of the European Union was problematic, but I think that the solutions that it provided were more significant than the problems it created.
But hang on, no, Daniel, but let me ask you. Look, I recognise that there were advantages of the European Union, and I've always said that. And funnily enough, I actually was somebody who was fairly in favour of free movement of labour. I think we mucked up with the Eastern European countries when they first joined the EU. But as it stands, the number of Eastern Europeans clamouring to get into Britain actually is relatively low from EU countries. But at the same time, I do think that this lack of independence and the fact the EU was so dysfunctional makes it a bad thing.
I voted for it in '75. Because we were down and out, and I thought economically it made sense to us to join what, in effect, was a common market. But it's become a political construction now. It's a political campaign, and it's trying, in the longer term, to create European unity. Now, you look around, you see the 27 states. They're like cats in a bag. They're fighting. Interestingly, we have a Labour Party, which is now looking as if it wants to move much closer. But the real issue is this. I don't think rejoin will ever happen. And the reason is, not just because I personally believe in Brexit, the reason is, if we rejoined, we'd have to join the euro. We'd have to dump the pound. And immediately, and this goes to what Hugh Grant said, people who were rejoiners, when they think about it and they're told you have to dump the pound, actually say, no, we want to keep the pound sterling.
I actually think, Daniel, one of the big problems that happened, and I actually had some time for Guy Verhofstadt. Now, people will think that that's completely insane. But what I liked about Guy Verhofstadt, what I still like about him, is that he is honest about federal Europe and actually attempts to make the case for it. What we did in Britain, which I think was a real error, we told people on the one hand that the EU did virtually nothing in Britain, didn't have much of an impact, its regulations didn't make much of a difference. Now we've discovered that actually our government was little more than a local council, totally incapable of running a modern country. And that's the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, the Conservatives, all in the same. And actually the EU was really running our affairs. If we'd known that, ironically, we might have been more keen to have voted to stay.
Yeah, but it's the Tories' fault. They didn't execute it right. And every media establishment was all bad news about leaving the EU. And, you know, we wanted our freedom. It was the biggest vote.
I think it goes deeper than that. I think we have a generation of politicians who have never had to lead or put in laws or devise them. And suddenly they had all of this responsibility and power and they didn't know what to do with it.
But look, like Keir Starmer and Angela Merkel, what's the difference between them?
I don't think that's actually
nothing.
necessarily a good analysis. I mean, there are definitely weaknesses in our political system and at leadership level. But I think, in truth, nobody, and this was a huge dereliction of duty by Cameron, nobody prepared for a leave.
I absolutely agree. Well, two things, Derek. I agree with you totally, Derek. First of all, David Cameron should have been much tougher in negotiations.
Yeah, cool.
And the EU should have seen what was going to happen. Which did happen, of course. The second thing is, you're absolutely right. There should have been a much longer campaign, much more detailed, and much more money spent on it. I worked for Vote Leave. We only had 7 million quid. £7 million. That's the amount, you know, one of the big advertising.
It's what I pay on lunch.
Absolutely. I mean, it was nothing. And we had a very short time to get the message across. So it was very simplistic.
I'm just going to ask both of you in turn. Do you agree with the proposition that perhaps the best thing to have done was to have left George Osborne to run the campaign and for David Cameron to stay neutral? Because then at least he would have been able to stay in after the Brexit
referendum. Well, the campaign started much earlier. I mean, David Cameron was committed to a referendum in his
He didn't particularly want one, though,
No,
did
he didn't.
Let's be honest.
But he was put in the position where he had to go for one. So he did that. And he went in to negotiate, but his negotiation was no good.
If George Osborne had led the campaign to remain inside of the European Union, the margin for leave would have been bigger.
Right.
It's a bit like saying that you think that Gordon Brown has more presentational skills than Tony Blair. Fatal mistake.
I'll tell you one thing I do agree with.
I may say Keir Starmer is no Tony Blair as well.
I've got to tell you something. There was often complaints that people like Nigel Farage didn't get a knighthood and Matthew Elliott and people like that. I genuinely think the Brexit CBE should have gone to Will Straw. What a brilliant campaign. I think he walked into the office every morning thinking, what celebrity have I not met? Has anyone got the phone number of Handy Andy?
Well,
and then it's I mean,
that's how he spent his 7 million quid.
In the end, they were making a film with the guys from Top Gear. Well, maybe next week then. Handy Andy's available. By Dimmock Bra. Well, yeah, I suppose. He said some things have gone too far south. OK, so has Hugh Grant appeared on the American Chat Show to say Brexit was terrible, never regrets it?
Of course he has.
It's absolutely true!
That was The Woke That Was continues after the break. Welcome back to That Was The Woke That Was.
So, Ben, Conservative MP Jill Mortimer has said that her office has been besieged by illegal immigrants and they should be immediately deported. So are illegal immigrants, there's two propositions here. Are illegal immigrants laying siege to a Conservative MP's office?
Big office. How big's her office?
It's the size of Camelot. But, the expenses have always been generous. So so that's one element of it.
Can I ask whether or not she's really an MP? Who is she?
It's fair to say.
Who is she?
MP, people in Parliament. People in Parliament now are so anonymous. I remember somebody saying to me that if you want to find Lord Lucan, look at the Lib Dem. look for the Lib Dem front bench in the House of Lords. Because I will tell you, if Lord Lucan was actually a Lib Dem front bench in the House of Lords, nobody would notice him. It's the best. Yep. Okay. So, what the producer has said is, first of all, she's MP for Hartlepool. Yeah. Well done for knowing that. Yeah. Now, by the way, remember, Hartlepool executed a monkey during the Napoleonic Wars. Do you know the story?
No, go ahead.
Well, what happened was a boat got washed up in Hartlepool. Yeah. Everyone on board was dead apart from a monkey, which they concluded must have been a French spy because it couldn't speak English. And they didn't know what French people looked like. Yeah. They hung the monkey. Oh. But not only that, the mascot for the football club has always been a monkey. And when they were forced to have a directly elected mayor, they elected the monkey in protest. But then he was so good, they re-elected him, which I thought was pretty good.
I agree with everything they did.
And that wasn't Peter Mandelson.
It wasn't Peter Mandelson.
Sadly not.
Yeah. By the way, there is a bonus point now. There's a bonus point. In fact, I'll give you the entire quiz.
Okay.
If any of you can name any Lib Dem front bench spokesman in the House of Lords, any of them, the leader, any of them.
Paddy Pantsdown.
No. He's been dead about 5 years. So just be clear. Let's be clear. You actually didn't know the former Lib Dem leader was dead. Right, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to move on. We're going to say Jill Mortimer is the Member of Parliament for Hartlepool. Has her office been besieged, and does she want the people deported?
Well, I'm sure it's been besieged, but I can't imagine a Conservative MP actually coming out and telling the truth for once. So that's where I've got a difficulty with this. I think it would just be breaking ranks. The whips would call her in and she'd be severely chastised. So I doubt she would have come out and said it, but we are under attack throughout the country.
But is her office specifically besieged?
It's her office, her actual office.
Her actual office.
And how big is this office?
Well, I don't know. Right, come on. Right, is it true or false? Get on with it.
False.
It's absolutely true. So what are the scores? Woke Rabbit! Woo! Come on. OK, so Woke Rabbit, don't get us into a lawsuit. Right, we keep having problems with HR with you. Right, OK. So are you happy about the situation with Jill Mortimer and the fact that illegal immigrants are besieging her place and she wants them deported?
If she wants people deported, she should lose her job and probably receive some sort of jail time.
Really? So you want to jail anyone who's opposed to unlimited immigration?
I thought jail was patriarchal.
Anyone who disagrees with me should probably face some sort of jail time.
So what you want to do is you want to get rid of jails, but you want to implement gulags.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it, actually. Thank you.
That's a good idea. OK, so what are the scores?
5 points for everyone, apart from Ben, who is on 0 points.
Yay! OK.
Fine.
Well done, Woke Rabbit. I love the way that the Woke Rabbit discriminates.
Yeah. I'll be speaking to him afterwards.
OK. So, Lizzie, a perfect one for you.
Come on, then.
Cardiff University Students' Union has banned blue shirts and chinos due to the dangerous behaviour of those that wear them. Is it true or is it false?
I mean, how much trouble can you get in a pair of chinos? Seriously?
Well, it depends.
How dangerous can they be?
Lizzie, you're on a panel of men. You can get into trouble with chinos if you don't shake, right? It can be a very severe problem. I'll tell you what, the reason you can angle those hair dryers down...
Yes, please.
When I understand that story, I think you're right in saying it was the rugger union who were wearing the chinos and the blue shirt.
It was never right. They were never. The culprits have not yet been identified. There is a suggestion.
And of course, the Welsh rugby colour is red, so they're wearing blue. Yeah. So they could have been Italians or French. They weren't English. But anyway, they created a row. So that's obviously to do...
So that's what it's to do with.
That's what
so on Wednesday, and they're saying now on Wednesday evenings, anybody wearing blue shirts and chinos will be turned away from the Students' Union. They've written to the Athletics Union saying that they will remove this ban when they identify who was responsible for the altercation in the queue.
Oh, that's so pathetic, though, isn't it?
They were the rugger boys. And girls possibly, too, these days.
Well, in Cardiff University, you can't tell the difference, can you? Let's be honest. What's that thing on your neck?
I'm sure they've got more important things to worry about.
I believe that Cardiff Student Union does not have more important things to think about. What more important things could it be?
Drinking.
I got told off for wearing knee-high socks when I went to my convent school, so I can imagine I got sent home from school.
What did they prefer, fishnets?
Oh, well, it was very strict. So I think this is definitely true.
OK, so in answer to the question, has Cardiff University Students' Union banned blue shirts and chinos? You say true. It is true! Right. The next question is to you, Daniel. Sadiq Khan has agreed to take on the role of Scrooge at the Labour Party's Christmas panto. Is it true or is it false? I've got to tell you, before you do this, there used to always be a Christmas party at the House of Commons for all the kids. And every year, Father Christmas was assisted, let's say, just in case kids are up, was assisted by Ed Balls. And I remember, I'm not joking, the chairman of the Conservative Party, Greg Hands, who hated Balls, walked up to other people assisting, asking if Ed Balls had been CRB'd before he allowed him to put his children on his knee. Let me tell you, there were no allegations of impropriety against Balls, but it was a very funny moment.
I'm thinking about Scrooge. I mean, trying to compare him. And diversity, no. Meanness, yes.
However, presumably doesn't celebrate Christmas, and that's a serious comment.
The thing is, you know, I've got a feeling he has got this role already, because he gave me a call earlier. He's worried that Liz Truss has actually got a part in this as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, the ghost of Christmas past. She's going to come behind you. But no,
I think there definitely is a
Scrooge.
role for somebody in government to be Mr. Scrooge, and I think the Prime Minister or our next
Chancellor,
Prime Minister,
maybe.
Well, indeed. I mean, the First Lord of the Treasury is on the front of the number 10 letterbox. That's why I say the Prime Minister, because we've just had, for the last 13 years, a government of national public expenditure, and it's a huge dereliction of duty. And the next government is going to have to be a government of Scrooges. Not just one, but many.
But the worry, Derek, is there's supposed to be a cycle. There used to be. I mean, look, even if you agree with John Maynard Keynes, which presumably you're not a massive fan of, but you know, this idea that in the good times you save up and in the bad times you spend, it's not a wholly unreasonable proposition. But what we've noticed is governments in good times have spent even more money than's brought in. And I just find it extraordinary. I mean, we had the whole thing with Gordon Brown, but actually austerity under the Conservatives hasn't been particularly austere, has it?
Well, I mean, Maynard Keynes' central point, of course, was that, you know, you could actually control the economy by intervention. And I think that one of the things that was established under Mrs. Thatcher's reign was that you couldn't do that.
The best thing, though, about Maynard Keynes is the sweets he produced.
I'm
Maynard sugar canes. Come on.
Your intervention. You think of Nigel Lawson, the late Nigel Lawson, who we've just been celebrating. I mean, he was a brilliant chancellor, and there's no doubt about that. And there's another issue here which is quite interesting, and that relates to what we were talking about earlier in relation to the euro. And that is, if we join the euro, we lose half the levers we have to manage the economy, i.e. monetary policy.
Half the levers will leave the country. But I have to say,
spelled differently.
My favourite thing now about Nigel Lawson is when people go, "Oh my God, Nigella's dad." And you think it's amazing.
It's true. I mean, she looks so like him as well.
Cut her, she'll bleed.
For most of Nigel's, I knew Nigel. I mean, for most of his lifetime, and he looked as though he was eating most of her food every day.
I wonder, people think to themselves, they go, how can Nigella cook all that unhealthy food and be the size she is? Have you seen her dad? Have you seen her dad? She's experimenting on him.
He was like the human dustbin.
What made me laugh was he was just like a balloon that had been deflated.
Always going into the fridge.
Yes.
Mind you, I've got to be honest with you. If you lived with Nigel Lawson, which presumably in her adult life he didn't, but you know, if you are up in the middle of the night, you know, working on your ministerial box, and then you go, I wonder what's in the fridge. Oh, 15 cheesecakes.
In fact, somebody once asked Nigel Lawson, I was there at a press conference, what his view was on exercise, and he said, 2 heavenly spoons or forks to my mouth twice a day.
Very good. I love that.
How did we get onto that? Well, that was my fault. I'm so sorry.
We're talking about Scrooge, but it has to be the Mayor of London, because what he's doing with ULEZ, the expansion of ULEZ, is an absolute cash grab, and I think it's disgusting that our own government haven't stopped this.
But really okay, so many people who watch this show do not like Sadiq Khan. In fact, they all absolutely hate him. But anyhow, do you think he's playing Scrooge in the Labour Party Christmas panto? Do you believe that's true, or do you believe it's false?
False.
It's absolutely false! That's from our friends from the Upper Lip website. So this is the final question, Derek. Goes to you. And we're sticking with Sadiq Khan. Transport for London is sending hundreds of customers to bystander awareness training to teach them how to stop hate crimes. Is it true or is it false?
To what? Awareness
training? To stop hate crimes. What you have to do is you have to go... I mean, who's going to volunteer for this, right? You have to go on this training to where you're able to identify hate crimes taking place near you when you're standing around at the bus stop or wherever, and then how to intervene.
What if you're the one committing them?
Then you'll have expertise on how to avoid being caught doing hate crime. In fact, well done, Ben.
I asked for no particular reason.
I don't know about this one. Sorry, I'm taking your place, Derek.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, I don't know about this one
visiting.
because in a way, I mean, people intervening when something horrid's going on in a tube or whatever is quite brave, and it doesn't happen that often.
Strangely enough, that was really something I witnessed this morning. There was somebody walking down the street, shouting very aggressively, and looking really very disturbed.
I didn't know he was coming to Sunningdale. It's not my fault. I didn't know. Right, I'd had a hard night. I was a bit depressed. Oh, yeah, well, patched myself up afterwards. Yeah, I don't think he thought it was me. Oh, damn. Yeah, sorry. Don't come to my street again, Derek. Right. You know, I live somewhere, what halfway between London and Oxford, so you can...
Where were we?
But Derek, you were talking about meeting an owl drunk this morning.
I forgot.
Transport for London.
But
okay, Derek, is it true? Look, forget the story about the bloke walking down the street.
Look, it was a scary
It was very nice, the bloke walking down the street.
Yeah, but someone stood up to you.
Sorry. So you live on the street so bad that people shouting...
No, I was nowhere near the street where I live. Don't be so stupid. Things like that don't happen in
the street where he lives.
In Belgrade.
The street where he lives has got armed guards. But anyway, is it true or is it false, Derek?
It is true.
It's absolutely true. Woke Rabbit, have you been a victim of hate crime?
I get nasty things said to me on Twitter sometimes. They say I'm not real or that I'm just some bloke dressed up as a rabbit. It's not true. I am the real deal. I'm a real rabbit.
And how do we follow you on Twitter, Woke Rabbit?
By hitting follow.
Right. Well, you're not. Right. Okay. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Give us the final score, right? I've had enough of you. I've thrown people out before. Like, what is the final score? Woke Rabbit.
Derek is on 1,000,000 points, so he wins.
Okay, congratulations to Derek. Thank you so much to Daniel and indeed to Lizzie and to Ben. I'm off now to run down Derek Street shouting in a Tourette's fashion. Until next time, goodbye!